Happy New Year and welcome to episode 239 of Fibertown. It's the 10th of January, 2020. So this month marks the 7th anniversary of starting this podcast. It's a thing I do on YouTube. I don't know if you could really call it a podcast. But yeah, 7 years here in my kitchen with my dog Alice. She's down there. And yeah, she's actually 7.5. So yeah, here we are. I didn't introduce myself. If you're new, I'm Emily. Thank you for being here. Just to give you a little background on my day so far, it's Friday. It's my day off of work, and it's the first day I've had the house to myself in weeks. And I had grand plans for the day. In fact, I was going to do this early on in the day, and it's now 4:15. So the light's not great, but it hasn't been good all day. And really all I felt like doing was laying on the couch, knitting, and watching Cranford and Return to Cranford. Have you ever watched that? It's one of my favorites. I'm an aficionado of British historical dramas / comedies. Cranford is the best. It's comfort TV for me. So that's what I did today. I watched both seasons. Well, actually, I started last night, so. But you know what? I thought, get in the shower. So I did. Slap on some lipstick and get in front of my camera. So I want to share I have 2 finished objects, actually. Some works in progress, new and old. Some sewing, some spinning, and some acquisitions. And I just remembered 2 things I didn't bring to the table with me, but I will make a note to talk about them. And I might go get them because that won't be hard to do. Okay. Just a brief note to let you know that there have been some changes to my channel in response to the COPPA rules that have been put forth on YouTube. And they have to do with children's entertainment and YouTube. So the rules, or the laws really, in being enforced by the FCC, which can result in a $40,000+ fine to a YouTube channel per episode, have to do with kids and whether or not, they're very nebulous, whether or not this entertainment was made for children, whether it includes things that could attract children. So I've made a couple changes. Wherever my son or another child was on the episode that was under 13, I have made that episode private, so you may not find those episodes. And then I went through a period of having an intro song that was sung by French children. And that could kind of fall into that category. So I have also made those private, and I hope I'm protected by making them private. So you can't see those. I do have originals of all of my episodes saved on an external hard drive, but I don't have time or inclination to go back and re-edit the music or take out children who may have appeared. And I think it's just my son, maybe I think my niece wanted to come on once because she wanted to be on YouTube. Oh my goodness. And as I said, I've been doing this for 7 years now. So I had to go through all of my episodes, and I didn't take them off YouTube in the hopes that maybe once these laws become better defined in the future, I hope, that I can just make them public again. Fingers crossed. I did make my channel I tagged it not made for children, but still those episodes could be construed as falling into those categories that the law put forth. And as I was going through all of the episodes, oh my goodness, 7 years. So I'm 47. It was wild to see myself age like that on video. I looked a lot different when I was 40. I've been through a bit of stuff in those 7 years, mostly good. And You know, it's all how you view it, but just very funny to see myself change over time. Anyway, just wanted to update everyone who might be looking for episodes that is what's happened to them. And hopefully someday I can put the whole catalog out there again. But thanks for listening. So the first finished object I have to show you, I finished New Year's Eve at about 20 minutes to midnight. Still can't believe I stayed up. I'm not a fan of staying up late anymore. I'm a fan of laying on the couch and watching Cranford. Anyway, I stayed up and I finished this because I wanted it off the needles. It was starting to weigh on me. And it is the Shifty. It's an Andrea Mowry sweater. Do you guys like it? What do you think? I realized I put it on when I finished it and I haven't touched it since. Look, the sleeves are a little, the color changes are more abrupt on the sleeves, and the sleeves really slowed me down. I did not enjoy doing this mosaic knitting on the sleeves. This one is a better sleeve, I think. You can see I started to run out of the main color towards the end of the sleeves, and I was doing them sort of simultaneously. I'd knit an amount of repeats on one sleeve and then do the same on the other sleeve, and oh my gosh, not a great way to go. But I was worried about running out of the main color, and I know, I swore I had an extra skein of it, and I bet I'm gonna come across it at some undetermined future time. I looked and looked, couldn't find it. But all turned out well in the end. It's, yeah, it looks great like this, doesn't it? So this is out of Cormo that I dyed in the combed top. I think I called it roving before. It was combed top. I dyed it last February, and then I spun it this summer, and then I knit it. Spun it 2-ply. So the Cormo is from a farm in Pennsylvania, Rockland's farm, and yeah, I'm pleased with the finished object. I need to weave in the ends and block it. I will say that mosaic knitting, I think this is going to be the last I do of mosaic knitting, unless it's a very small amount. I've done mosaic knitting one other time, and I remembered I made a cowl, and I remembered it did something to my neck. And then I forgot about it. It just, in my body, doing the slipping of the stitches constantly, over thousands of repetitions, does something bad to my neck. I had forgotten about that until I got, and it wasn't too bad in the body, but on the sleeves and that small circumference, I really hurt myself. It really is not a good stitch for me to knit. I don't know exactly what happens, but yeah, not for me. So I did complete the sweater, and I kind of realized towards the end of the sleeves, oh, wait a minute, I remember that other mosaic knitting cowl that I did, and yeah, it wasn't pleasant for that reason. So it's done. I like it okay. I'm not moved to wear it, so I feel like it was much more of a, dare I say, process knit. I'm just thinking of Mrs. M's curiosity cabinet right now. She is often a voice in my head, and one of the things I need to show you is the pamphlet that she wrote, and she goes into process versus product and explores that. So anyway, we're gonna move on from the Shifty. It hurt me. It's pretty, but it hurt me. I wanna show you the other FO. It's a hat. I knit this fairly quickly, under a week, I think. It's the Braywick hat, Braywick, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's by Ella Gordon, and look at that. Does she call it a tam? I don't remember, but I'm gonna put it on. My hair is pretty. So it has this kind of jaunty feature. I loved knitting it. I've been wearing it almost every day. It snowed this week, it's been cold. It's going to be almost 70 degrees tomorrow. We usually have a January thaw, but it's it's too early for a January thaw, and that's too warm. Anyway, I really enjoyed knitting this. I used quite a mix of yarns. The white, I wish I had had an off-white, just like a natural white. This is definitely a bleached white. This is Rauma Finial Garn. It's the first time I've knit with that. And I did a tubular cast on. So I can totally get behind a tubular cast on. I feel like it's worth the extra time and I understand it. It's not as stretchy, but I think that suits this hat quite well. It needs to sort of stay in place because it's a tam. Like for a beret, it would be a good cast on, I think, as well. And I do want to knit the Best Beret by James Watts at some point. Anyway, yeah, it's a tubular cast on. It's the tubular cast off I cannot get behind with all that Kitchener. I don't enjoy it. But I will definitely do this for a top-down sweater. I think it makes a good neckline as long as I remember to be loose with it so it fits over my head, because there's nothing worse than that. So yes, the main color is Rauma. The second, the red, is an unlabeled, it came to me unlabeled, wool that my friend Najeri brought me from Stockholm. Hi Najeri, you're never watching this. She's not a knitter. But I have to give her a shout out anyway. So that's the red. And I don't know what's up with this red. I don't know if I trust it to put this in hot water and not have it bleed. So far so good with a steam iron. I might just, I might put a little bit of the red and the white yarn together in some hot water and see what happens. Anyway. The yellow is Rauma Gamel Series. It's also a 2-ply, but it's more tightly plied, I think. And then let me see, I think the rest, I love the star. I think the rest is all Jameson and Smith from the Woolly Thistle. I detailed all the colors on my Ravelry page for this. I just need to take some pictures. Maybe this weekend in the 70-degree heat. Yeah, love that hat. Love it. Does not take a lot of yarn of any of the colors. It was super fun. I love that star. Yeah, so I'm just walking around my neighborhood and all sorts of color work these days. I got a ton of use out of my Yell cardigan this holiday season. I wore it several times. Yeah, so moving along to works in progress, I knit on my mitered square blanket a lot. I did 25 squares over Advent. I'm not gonna haul it out. I think I showed it in the last podcast. It's probably a 10-year project. It's about 5 years old now and it's almost halfway done. So I think I need to pick one more time during the year to knit on it to get like 50 squares a year. That would be great. What other time should I pick? Talk to me about, what do you think? What's another great time to have that blanket on my lap? So there's that. I also have one of my West Yorkshire Spinners blue tit socks almost to the toe. I think those will go to a friend who just had surgery. And I'm not moved to knit on socks these days. It's been several years of a pair of socks a month and just not feeling it at the moment. Hello, friend. Do you want to say hello? Hang on. Oh my goodness. Little Alice had an allergy to our Christmas tree. She's finally a bit better, but her face was, can you see her face is still a little puffy? She's got some medication. Oh, what happened to your ear, Peanut? Boop. Yes, so what was I saying? The socks, the blanket. Oh, I finished one of my mittens that I cast on last winter. It is by Cake and Vikings. What is her real name? Diana Walla. And she put out this, oh, there goes a double point. She put out a series of Hogwarts House mittens was it last winter? I think so. I think this was a gift. Was it from Sarah Pomegranate, this pattern? I think so. Could be wrong though. Thank you for, yeah, you want to lick the mitten? You want to smell the mitten? Here it is. It's out of Tuku wool, that's the yellow, and Biche Bouche, which is the black. There's my badger. So all I did was finish the thumb. Actually knit the thumb. It wasn't knit at all. I knit it. It was very fast to knit. This other one, the second mitten, it has not been cast on. Found some pretty funny errors in here, such as, where is it? Yeah, I can't even find the mistakes. Guess they're not that big a deal. Really loving, oh, like that. Little black stitch right there. So, Harry Potter. Have always been a big fan. They say never meet your idols. I wouldn't say J.K. Rowling is my idol, and she certainly isn't now. But there's a whole world of Harry Potter that does no longer belong to her, full of all sorts of people, and I welcome them. All right, you're getting down. Off you go. And I have a new cast on. This is going very quickly. It is, I wanted to make a sweater out of Plotulopi. And this is what I have. Which color is this? This is it A 1853? Is that the colorway? I don't know. It's this lovely forest green, and I fully cop to being inspired by Bee Mandarine's Melody. A few months ago, she started knitting a sweater, a green sweater. I think it was Plotulopi and like a mohair, and I just decided to use Plotulopi. And it's an Icelandic yarn. I have a shawl out of Plotulopi that I adore. I've been wearing it again a lot this winter. So I cast on the Seamless Saddle Shoulder by Elizabeth Zimmerman. Oh, that green is great. And it's a recipe in knitting without tears. And a friend of mine, I don't have the book, but I could get it from the library, but she scanned in the recipe and sent it to me. So I've just measured another sweater that I have that fits and measured my gauge. I'm using US 9s. I did another tubular cast on. There it is. It just sort of, I think I used the Very Pink Knits tutorial on YouTube. Yes, I believe so. So just measuring my gauge, measuring a sweater I liked to be about 43 inches around. I wanted a lot of ease. Then I cast on, I did the math, I cast on 194 stitches on US 7s for the ribbing, and then US 9s, which I feel like is a 5.5 millimeter for the body. It's really big around, and of course I forgot to do darts in the back. So I've started now. I've started putting a few decreases in mid-back, and hopefully it'll look nice. I don't want this sweater to be very long. I only have 3 plates of this, and this is still the first. So yeah, the way this sweater works, I think I should be okay with the 3 plates, but the way the sweater works is you knit it like a bottom-up round yoke. So you knit the body to the length you want, then you knit the sleeves, and then you join them all in the round. And there's some sort of way you do that saddle shoulder, which I really like. There's a very attractive line just right around your collarbone area. So I just wanted something simple. I think it's coming out a little too big. I don't want to rip this back. It's Plotulopi. So, que sera. Again, there's a lot of that in my knitting life. But it's very fast. Very fast knitting. Love the Icelandic wool. It's got a lot of flyaways, but that does calm down with blocking in hot water and wearing, and it's fun to knit on. And the light is getting worse and worse. Apologies, I think the last time I sat in front of my camera, it was dim like this as well. Can you still see me? I don't know why I'm doing this. Yeah, so that's the works in progress. I have done some spinning. I have been working on my Coopworth fleece. It's from fleece from Virginia, gorgeous. It's really a long wool, I think. It does have quite a bit of lanolin, and I've had to rewash some of the locks in much hotter water. And then just to make them easier to comb, I'm kind of doing all the processing and spinning, not one process at a time. Like I'm not doing all the combing and then all the singles and then all the plying. I really want to go bit by bit. So I have about 5 to 600 yards spun up and 3-plied so far. And when these skeins have been finished, I've been putting them again through 1 or 2 washes, very hot water. Yeah. So maybe once the whole thing is finished, I will wash all the skeins again. So I'm out of combed top that I've been combing. I need to do a little bit more and maybe wash some more locks. But I feel like I'm about a third of the way there, and I just need to see the progress. I need to see things. I need to see skeins piling up as I do this spin. It's not the way I've typically done spins, but it's okay. It's beautiful. I feel like it's destined for a Siri cardigan. Oh, excuse me. Some dude looking in my window. I just got a book delivered. It has to do with a make I'm planning, so maybe I'll share it. Maybe I'll pause it and share. But that's spinning. So sewing is my next category to share with you all. I'm wearing, I think I showed this last episode. This is a Callie shirt. This is the long sleeve version. And I made these cuffs out of blue linen, as well as the collar stand, just to make the fabric, to have enough fabric. I didn't have enough of this Japanese lawn. Really love this pattern. We'll definitely make more Callies in the future. It's by Closet Case. It's Kalle. And that's what I've got on. What have I made? Let me show you 2 things that aren't super successful, but I have worn this. This is a Roscoe blouse by True Bias Patterns. I've made one before, and yeah, this fabric I acquired this summer at Fabric Mart in Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania. What do y'all think? It was labeled as silk. I'm not convinced it's silk. It was dead stock. And it's quite reversible. So there's a black and a silver. So I tried the Roscoe blouse, and I tried this time bringing in, I think it's a 5/8 seam allowance. I did, no, it's a 3, I have it written down. I changed the seam allowance, however I did it, to make it smaller, because the size 10 that I made before is really big. So I think I changed it from 3/8 to 5/8 to remove more fabric from the shirt. And yeah, it's better like that. So I will do that in the future. So I'm kind of calling this a muslin, but I did wear it on New Year's Eve. Now I took the reverse side of that fabric and I made a skirt. This is an attempt at the Evie Bias skirt, EVIE, by Tessuti Patterns, and I botched the cutting on this. I really should have just laid everything out on the floor to cut it. I have a wonderful, wonderful cutting table, but the bias skirt fabric pieces hung over the side. So I monkeyed around with the cutting, and I think the result is it changed the way the skirt looks. And I also think that I stretched out the side seams. So because it's on the bias, the fabric can stretch enormously. So the side seams you can't tell till it's on my body, but around the most unfortunate place they could possibly do it, they kind of bow out in very subtle places. You can't see it here, but I think that's where the fabric got stretched. So it's supposed to be a very useful can see the reverse side there. And I tried to do a rolled hem. I have a rolled hem foot. Sometimes I do a really nice job on it. And sometimes it gets like there. I don't do a great job. So again, a muslin. This fabric has all been used up now, and I've learned a thing or two. So valuable. Now, the other thing I sewed. Be Still My Heart. A third pair of ginger jeans. Yes, indeed. I have made this pattern work for me. This time I used, what did I use? An 11-ounce denim S-jean stretch from Threadbare Fabrics. Sarah Pomegranate was making her ginger jeans out of this. I saw it and I said, that'll be my next pair. And I finally got a pair of Wonder Woman pocket jeans that fit me like a glove. I've got a sparkly zipper in there. I even managed to line up my waistband facing with the pocket stays on both sides. That was magical kismet. Did not plan that. I put a label in the back, but look, I had to do some top stitching through it, unfortunately. And the waistband is far from perfect. You know what? I can live with it. I love these jeans. They have a great heft to them. The top stitching is pretty darn good. Got a jeans button in there, went in fairly nicely. I didn't interface the waistband, and I really should have interfaced. If you don't use denim, I think the thing is, one of the reasons the waistband is not great is because I should have interfaced it. It is cut on the bias in parts because I modified my waistband to have darts. So instead of being straight around, it kind of curves around, and that accommodates my much smaller waist compared to my hip size and butt. So it basically accommodates my pear shape. But I didn't account for the fabric stretching because of that curve that it's cut on, and I should have interfaced it to stabilize it. Stabilize, stabilize, stabilize. What else did I do to modify? I do not change the crotch seams at all, but the side seam and then the curve, you basically sew a curve all the way around. I did that seam at 3/8 inch, as well as the side seams at 3/8 inch instead of 5/8. And I made a size 14. And it's just perfect for me. I started to sew on some belt loops because I wanted to do this X at the back. And then I realized that I would need an extra belt loop, and I hadn't made an extra belt loop. And you know what? I never see my belt loops anyway. I just had this desire to have X in the back. So I did it, and I love them. I've worn them a bunch, and actually the zipper pull has been giving me trouble. I'm gonna have to work on that. It's kind of askew. Really love them. Yay. So one last thing in the sewing category, I'm about to embark on a coat making project. I have 3 yards, is that backwards? 3 yards of wool from Couture Carlisle in Montreal from our trip this summer. And I very fondly remember the trip and the store and the women who worked there. And here it is. I am not going to pre-treat this other than I'm gonna put my steam iron over it. I don't know what I've gotten myself into quite yet. And I will just briefly mention the Kelly anorak. I gave it another go. So many other problems cropped up with that make. I'm not totally ready to say goodbye to it. But it is a cluster of fail. Let's just call it that instead of a cluster of something else. And I'm coming to terms with the fact that how I view fail is not negative. So I'm sure I will find something positive about that. And I already kind of have. But I can't figure out how to make this hood work either. To get it attached to the body, it does this where you're supposed to like pull things around, and it's just... Maybe someday I'll have the bandwidth to list all the things that have presented themselves as challenges with this project. And there are far more in the negative category than in the positive at this point. So I moved on, I put it aside, I did my ginger jeans. I needed a win and I got it with those. And I really do not like having sewing whips, but this one it's maybe destined for scissors, so I can reuse that fabric. Yeah, anyway, so I want to make the Yates coat and have a coat win. This is by Grainline Studio. It has these sort of front pockets. It's a construction that Grainline seems to really love. They do it on their uniform, tank, tunic. Do they do it on another pattern as well? Maybe the Pharaoh dress, which I haven't made, but I do have that pattern. So it seems very simple construction-wise. And I want to do the outer fabric with this. And I said, this is a wool from Couture Carlisle. And then I'm thinking that I will use this for the lining. It is a 7-berry cotton lawn that I've had in my stash for a while. I was thinking I'd make another Callie shirt. It's not opaque enough, I don't think, though it looks it on the camera. It's a very slinky cotton lawn, so I think it could work. It's gonna be an undertaking. Oh my gosh, let me turn up the light. Is that better? Not really. But I have decided to go whole hog, and I ordered this. This is a horsehair canvas, and it has some interesting properties in that it's very stable along the, I guess it stretches more along the warp than the weft, interestingly, which it makes it a very, this is the weft. Look at that. Here's the, is that right? I hope I'm explaining that correctly. Yes, yes. Here are the selvages with the horsehair, and this is from horses' tails. So it's cotton and horsehair. So it's very stable along the weft. And then on the grain, it has more stretch. I don't know if you can actually see that, but it does. So it's kind of the opposite of the way most woven fabrics behave. I ordered this from a tailor shop in New York City. I always somehow have to say that like the Pace Picante commercial. I don't know why I say things sometimes. Anyway, I am still cutting out pieces. There are 20 plus, maybe just 20, but a lot of pattern pieces because I think the lining pieces are slightly bigger than the shell, the outer pieces. So you basically have to cut out double. And what I'm planning to do is baste the interfacing into the main fabric. And that should give it, because it is quite a thin wool. It's not a boiled wool, felted, melton kind of scenario where the wool kind of has a lot of body. It does have body, but the horsehair should help give it more structure. So I'm hoping I have enough fabric for everything. I should. And it's going to take longer than a typical garment. And I'm just I need more light. There you go. I'm going to get weird shadows, but anyway, that's on the horizon. I was meant to be cutting out those pattern pieces today, but like I said earlier, couch, Cranford knitting. It's okay. So forgot to show you guys, except for 2 acquisitions. Here's the first one. I had a gift certificate for Christmas, and I spent it at Fiberspace, and I bought another sweater quantity of this. Love this yarn. I was wearing my Humulus out of this yarn this week at work, and it just brought home the fact this is my perfect yarn for a sweater. So this is Fusain. This is one of their new colorways, Cypress. Fusain is something like, I have to look up I feel like it's an artistic term. Fusain, so it has to do with charcoal or something. Anyway, I don't know why you need to know what it means in English, but I have the desire to know. And this is sage. So I have main body of this. I think I have 6 of these, and then I have these for a yoke. My daughter helped me pick the colors. I also have extras of a gray. I think it's the salt colorway. And then I'm gonna put you on pause, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, I'm back, and yeah, I looked up Fusain, and it does have to do with charcoal, but it's more of a geology term, I think, than an art term. So this was the other acquisition I wanted to share. You've probably seen this all over Instagram. There's Mrs. M. She's the voice in my head whenever I'm considering a purchase. Did you know that, Meg, that you're in my head? If you're watching this, it's a book of essays on, as I said, product, process, and practice. I do recommend this. I sat down one afternoon over the holidays and read it start to finish. And I will give it better attention to describe it for you at some other time. Right now, as I said, I've been sitting on the couch all day, had not prepared to say anything about it, but I recommend. Essays on Materials, The Making Instinct, and Kinder Living. Yeah. I hope you are all well, and I thank you for spending this time with me today, and I hope you'll join me again for more making next time I see you. I have some fun plans for 2020, some travel, some fibery stuff, and hopefully lots of time with friends, including all of you in Fibertown. Take care.